Hello everybody, my name is Elenator and welcome back to Minecraft. This is the Minecraft 4K. It's not really an addition, sort of a notch development test. Well anyway, here we are, because I found the saving. Oopsies, I cannot navigate very well. I found the saving and conversion stuff, and I'm trying to figure out where I want to go. The feeling might not be escapable. Well, it's okay to remove grass, because grass is the only block we can place. Every other block we're going to try not to eliminate. And I'm pretty sure I heard the video. Ooh, notification going live. Alrighty, so, what are we doing? That's an excellent question. How about we clear off some of this main area? I don't know if this is the main area, but we'll find out later. In fact, I know how to mark the main area. How about I boop? Let's see, can I do... I don't think okay, it's gonna take too long. I was gonna try to do the stuff where you crouch along the edge. I don't think it's worth it. I also don't know who all is affected, but the old bug where you couldn't move on one of the axes unless you jump, that's not currently an issue on here. Who knows what that was, but what are we, over 15, 16 years later, it's not a problem. So that's the important part. All right, time to count. We are at 9. 13. I don't know where the middle of the world is. I don't feel like counting. And 16. Hooray. Let me just verify. Y'all know me in verification. Alright, so it's 16 blocks, which means I need to add another 15 here. So there's 1. 7. 13. I wonder how far we can reach. Much farther than Classic, that's for sure. There's 15. Alright, we should be good. Howdy, howdy. Koski, I believe. Welcome back. Remember you having a similar YouTube name on here. So there's 1, 2, 7, 12, 15. Alright, if everything is right, this should now be a square. That side lines up with here, and it looks like our render distance is only about 16 blocks. Can you imagine playing Minecraft with a one-chunk view distance? I don't have to imagine it, I'm experiencing it. Although this isn't really Minecraft. Yep, alright, I have my 16 by 16 square. I wonder if this means Minecraft 4K is the first official spin-off. The first official Minecraft spin-off game. The next would kind of be a Minecraft 4K JavaScript. Although that's a whatchamacalled? Sub spin-off, I guess, because it's a spin-off of 4K. Well, anyways, so that was 2012, and then you had story mode in 2015, Earth in 2018, Dungeons, I'm pretty sure was 2019. I don't know how tall to make this. I guess I'll just go here. Can I still reach that? Nope. Alright, so we're gonna start there, because that's about as far as I can reach, so we're gonna shorten this a little bit, because I'm not in the mood to start from the top. Boop, boop. Once I get this initial outline, we're gonna save the world, because I'd rather not do an hour and 45 minutes of playing on here and get a surprise crash. That would be rather unfortunate. One thing that is nice, I will say, is very large and obvious white border. Is very convenient for knowing what's happening where. Oopsies. Oops. Double oops. Howdy howdy to you as well. Welcome to the stream. Oops. I think once we get this in place, I'll probably work on a floor. I'm thinking of carving out one layer or two. Things are going alright over here. Like here, to prevent myself from falling off, we're going to mark the other two corners now. That way, when I'm backing up, I can boop right at the end. I wonder how large of the dead zone it is for the middle of the screen. Because the mouse, or I should say the camera, is not constantly moving. Oop. I'm pretty sure people have decompiled Minecraft 4K by now. Sure, it's somewhere in there. And seeing as it's a singular class file, should not be too difficult to find. I think the initial version was like 2.6 thousand kilobytes. After it's decompiled, I don't know what it comes out to though. Also heard a buzz, but I'll check on that once I save and quit. I almost considered making this another micro series, but with the first version where it currently stands, I don't know if there's a way to break and place blocks. For that reason, we're playing the second version. Similarly with the JavaScript version, can't normally break and place blocks there either. So I think to myself, well, it's not much of a series if there's only one version to do, and I don't know how much I want to spend a minimum of 10 hours on here. So I think I'll just stick with all of this, which is going to be a singular stream. But I have plans for this world in the future. So this is where we boop. Let me throw up the clock while we sit and we wait. Let me verify the level is indeed there. Oop. Has an error occurred? I don't see the world. I wonder if it's like a one-time dealio. Oh, you press enter to save the world. Aha, I have now learned. That's okay, that's why I didn't want to go super far. Boop. Well, I somehow figured out how to save it the first time. That's okay, one thing after another. Alright, well, I wonder if I can find again where everything is. I wonder if it does a sort of comparison. Questions. Alright, hold on. Everything worked fine when I do testing, and then, of course, time comes for the real dealio. And I don't know what I'm doing. Alright, I press that button. And that button, if I hit refresh, do 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 do. And an oink. Alright, so now I know, just press a whole bunch of buttons. Because now, there's my pillar, hooray. Alright, well, back to work. Oops. So we are around here. Time to start counting again. 5. This time I'm going to keep File Explorer open. Oh wait, if I already did that one, I'll leave that as one of the corners. Whoop. It would have been nice if there was a respawn button. Oh well. Alright, 1, 2. So there's 16. Mark the corner. Now we go this way. Reach. And let's get rid of that clock. I forgot it was open. Oops. I wonder if this is what Minecraft would be like if the crab won and we were able to use the extended reach. But at the same time, only a few weeks after the crab lost, we got the command. And so I guess they wanted the functionality anyway. So there's 2. Oh, 16, cool. Because I kind of lost track. $13. Whoop. Alright, there's 16. I think, does it line up? Yep, okay, it lines up with that corner. That's the important part. If it only somewhat works with expensive teas, what goes wrong with cheap teas? Alright, let's see. Can I reach up there? Not quite, so we're going to start there. I feel like this is going to be 1 block shorter than the first one, but that's alright. I can always make this nicer later. You know what would have been interesting? Importing a classic world to here. And then converting it. There's always next time. Sounds like a rough, not lifestyle, rough circumstances to deal with. And whoop. As someone who does not drink tea, this is not an issue for me. I've had it before. It's just not my thing. I don't drink coffee either. I don't need the caffeine. I don't drink soda. I don't like the taste of most of them, nor do I like the carbonation. I drink water, juice, and milk. Milk is primarily with cereal. I'm not a big fan of the coffee taste on top of the effects. I've had coffee flavored candy before, and I think to myself, I'll pass for any in the future. There was one that was popular. Can't remember who it was by. Alright, so I'm just gonna press enter. I'm gonna press escape. Okay, so escape is how you save the level. I've now learned for sure. Alright, cool. Alright, we're gonna start one block lower. All these blocks I can never get again. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure 4K only has one. I don't even think it's a seed. I think it's just one generation pattern. So every time you boot up the game, it's the same world every time. So technically, if I wanted to get these blocks back, I'd need to use a fresh world, but it's not that important. Maybe I should have kept them, because now all the floor is going to be grass. Oh well. Maybe I should do the outline first, then work my way in. That way I'll have reference. I guess this is slightly more colorful than playing the early cave game versions, back when there was only cobblestone. I should say the stone texture, which ended up becoming cobblestone, and the grass. The all-sided grass. Everyone's favorite. I don't know what we'll do after this. I was considering working on the cave similar to what you see in JavaScript. We'll see if I get around to that or how large I make it. Thankfully, this version of 4K has invisible walls around. Hooray, Notch. Because in the first release of 4K, you could just walk off the edge of the map, and then that was it. That is no longer an issue. There we go. So yeah, based on me knowing how large I constructed this, you really can see only about 16 blocks in front of you. And that is indeed dependent on direction. Real shallow curve with the fog. Alright, well, now that that's taken care of, I think we'll go this way. Maybe I should work on a staircase down there. The cave, from what I've seen, is very low. We're somewhere around the middle of all this. And this generates, I believe, 31. Is it 31 blocks tall? How about we find a corner? Alright, we're going to carve out this corner first, and then we'll count. In fact, here, we'll make it 3 by 3. There we go. Alright, this will be our testing corner. Maybe I should have done 4 by 4. That way I can have 2 blocks in the middle. It's not too late to give up. I guess it's already mostly cleaned out. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I missed anything, I'll see it on the way coming back out. I wonder if I could do a spiral staircase with what I have. Oops, I did miss a couple blocks. Hold on, it's going to bother me because I know they're there. Oops. I'm still trying to get used to the inverted left and right controls. Good old classic button mappings. I can't remember when that changed. I think it changed in survival test, which means when creative returns in 0.27, it worked better. it became what we have today. There's a lot more solid terrain over here than I thought. I guess it's just the top part that's very messy. I wonder if there's any caves. We'll go exploring later. Once I know how far down we are, I should say once we hit the bottom, then I know how far down we are. And using that, I can calculate how high up the terrain goes. But when I converted it over to Classic on my test level I used, the Classic sea level was 1 block above. Oopsies. The Classic sea level was 1 block above what the terrain generated at. So I want to verify if it is indeed 31. Very floral. Interesting. Interesting. One day, perhaps, although I don't often head out looking for tea when I'm at the store or wherever. So if we start here, oh wait, hold up. I don't have a way to build on this back wall. Oops. Maybe I should have kept the 1 block on the farthest edge, because now we're about to go really slow. Unless if I can sort of do this from down below. Nope, 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 nope. None of those blocks are correct. I've made a minor mistake. Well, I've already carved out this corner. I could just leave it carved out. I don't have a quick way to find some other corner to get rid of. I could do something like this. And then I could just get rid of the extra blocks later. At least this is more precise than regular Minecraft. Because you have the ability to select which part of the screen you're trying to click. This is almost like the old Pocket Edition method, where you tap on the screen where you want to interact. I was never a fan of that. I always liked crosshairs. Of course, that's me coming from Java 2 PE. Should probably keep it on the downside. Let me hinge my way forward. Oh, hey, we're already almost at the top again. Let's just fill all that in. And then up we go. Oop. Alright, I guess we'll just have one final wall here. And there we go, made it up to the top. Let's just get rid of the extra blocks real fast. There we go. In fact, now that we're here, let's count. So if this is considered Y0, this would be 1. Let's look down for this. This is the 30th block. Okay, so it's only 31 blocks tall, which means, or sorry, the sea level in Classic is 31, so this is 30. Alright, I understand now. So it's like one additional block as the final layer. Alright, let me make sure to save. Boop. There we go. Alright, cool. So this is one block above. This is 30. This is 31. You know what I should do? I should probably be smart and put a border all the way around. If this does get to converted to classic, I do not want any flooding around the edges. Although there will indeed be some holes around here. I'm getting flashbacks to some of the early days of... oh, whatchamacalled. And now I really do wish I had that one block going all the way around in that corner, because now that corner is liable to flooding. Oops. This doesn't need to be perfect. This just needs to be good enough for what we're trying to do. When I get the download link, I'll probably have the converted versions provided already. Oop. I'll have the converted and the original 4K copy for anyone else who uses the saving mod in the future. Once I get this all the way up, I'm going to go around one final layer for classic sea level. Alright, so now, let me make sure that this is now nice and safe. There we go. So if this ever floods, then at least all the water is going to be contained within here. Hooray, future-proofing. I wonder if someone has claimed the title of having the most amount of playtime in Minecraft 4K. I feel like that didn't mean much initially, but now that we have saving mods and whatnot, it's possible to keep track of your gameplay time. And in doing so, you can accumulate it over more than just one gameplay session. I don't know how it would be verified. Betacraft doesn't keep track of gameplay time, which means external tools would be required for that. One way to do so is if you had it as a dedicated YouTube series or Twitch series, then you could use the footage to keep track of hours. The reason why I was thinking about that is because I've encountered folks in the past who've tried accumulating massive amounts of gameplay time in the earliest cave game versions. You know, break cobble, place cobble. And I think to myself, yeah, it's possible, but why? So now that I think about it, why not do the same thing with 4K? These are comparable in terms of gameplay. You can only place one type of block. And boop. Hold up. Hooray, I made it to the corner. Thankfully, this is a really small level. It's only 64 blocks cubed. At least it's supposed to be, depending on whether or not one layer on any of the 6 sides is not available. Kind of like InDev. Wonder if that's where Notch got the idea from while he was working on 4K. By the time InDev came around, he took the same idea. I almost wonder how much gameplay time Notch spent himself working on the game here on 4K. Because I feel like there's a lot of small things that could have been added. But at the same time, this was also a game jam project, so it had to be done quickly. And howdy, Paul, welcome back. I would say this version is popular, but at the same time, not really. It's one of those oddball Minecraft experiences. Kind of like the Dungeons arcade game. That's one of those oddball Minecraft experiences as well. At least I think it was Dungeons. I've never seen where they had them located. I think the Mojang offices has, or at least had, a Dungeons arcade game, but I think there was some other random place where they set one up. I just remember seeing pictures online. I don't remember if it went up to 4 players, but I'm pretty sure it at least supported 2 players. And it was about as you'd expect, very wide due to all the buttons required. Whereas classic arcade games only had between about 2 and 6 inputs. Maybe up to 8 or 10. All right, how are we looking? We're now halfway there. I'm gonna make sure to save. Make sure to save the world, everybody. Y'all ever watch Corridor Digital? There was one video called... I don't think the one I'm thinking of is The Glitch. There was another video where... It might have been. No, because I remember how that one ended. One of the videos was about video game characters, and things were going bad. So in order to save the world, it came down to Steve making sure to hit save before doing everything. You could tell they were console players. Real units that did appear in arcades, so it was somewhat mass produced. Interesting. I never found one, but at the same time, I never really went looking for them. I just know it was around. And what were you doing to the frog that made it want to go nibble nibble on your finger? Or attempt to do so, since I don't know how else a frog would take out your finger. Or take off. Oop. Jumped for your hand instead of the locust? Oops. Pac-Man frog. Interesting. And boink. Oops, wait, hold up. What are the shape of the teeth of Pac-Man frogs? Not that it would make much of a difference. I guess it would have an effect in addition to bite force. Oh, that's another corner. Is there a void? There's kind of a void, but there's only a void because there's no sky. Everything is black out there because there's no sky rendering. Oh, is this where I started? Oops, for some reason I thought I started over where the staircase was. Well, this is kind of in the middle. I guess now I could properly count if I wanted where exactly the middle's supposed to be. But what we're going to do, because I forgot about it, we're going to go around one more time. Should that stay like that? I think it will. Because I was thinking of how to get past that last block, but I guess I don't need to go around anymore. So we're all set. Is Void for Linux one of the distros? Now this is so much faster than trying to go the first time. But there's also just me placing one singular layer. Boop. Alright, we're almost done. Then we could go build or carve out something else. It's only been 37 minutes. Oip. Don't worry, I'm sure I could figure out something to do. And 3, 2, 1, 0. Hey, I got lucky with that timing. I was concerned that I was going to be off by a noticeable amount. Alright, well that's okay, because now we made it. So, we have the top, we have our little starting area, which I don't know if we properly spawn in here or not. I'm going to save the world. Alright, so, let's go caving, shall we? So now that I know where the cave section was, how about I make a proper staircase? Alright, so if that's the end there, I want to do this about the middle. Oh no, I want it to be offset. Oops. So that's one edge. Here's another edge. I'll put the staircase maybe here. So there's 5. Alright, we'll make this all nice and neatly and enclosed and stuff, even though it's going to look a little weird because it's grass. I wonder why Notch chose grass instead of something like stone or dirt. 10 of the block IDs are dirt, but they all have slightly different variations to the texture. I wonder if Notch had more plans for other blocks, but he instead just said, nah, I'll just stick with more dirt. Dirt was the placeholder. The JavaScript version has what has been, what we believe at least, to be water. You know, there are no fluid mechanics, but it has a texture close enough to it. So I wonder if Notch just ran out of time to add other block types. Alright, the question is, how far down do I go? So we can fit within the same 2-block space. Well, that's not fun. So we'll start, I guess if I already have that block there, this is going to be the next area. Man, it's so nice being able to reach all this way. Maybe I'll bump it up one more for a reason of... In fact, how about we do this to keep track? I'll bump it up one more, because what if this is ever used in a survival world? Don't want to be bumping your head on the staircase. Clunk, clunk, clunk on the ceiling as you go down. There we go. And to be nice and complete, let's keep going up here. In case of accidental flooding, I should probably fill in the edges as well. I'll probably only go up to the top layer though. I don't think I need to go all the way up. I'll keep the barrier at the top. And then everything else is safe to be one block beneath that. Probably. Oh, it's that time of the year again. I've said it before, but this is the time of the year where the sun likes to shine directly through my window, just because of the way that it's angled relative to me. That means I kind of have to crouch down to remain out of its direct line. This is what happens when you are in the northern hemisphere and you have windows that face south. It'd be the other way around if you were in the southern hemisphere having windows that face north. Thankfully, it's only a couple months or so, because this is an issue only through January or so, or February. By the time March rolls around, the sun's angle has started to shift back again, so it's no longer shining right in my face. I wonder if I should go all the way down, and then from there calculate how high up to find what sort of level I want to be at. When I get to the cave, the JavaScript type of cave, that should be easy enough to go through. Since once you're this far down, the world is mostly solid. In fact, if I do go all the way down, maybe that's where I'll decide how high up I want the cave to be. I haven't decided how far down I'm going to make the cave. There is no cave. I'll have to make the cave. It's going to be a big old tube, essentially. One thing I didn't realize until I saw the JavaScript demonstration again was that the camera pans through the world rather quickly. But even though the world is so small, it feels larger because I should say, the rendering for the world loops back on itself. That's something that is not visible here in the initial version. I'm also not too sure what Notch was trying to go for with the JavaScript version. Now that I think about it, I don't even know why he only added the one new block type, because the JavaScript edition of 4K came out in 2012, 3 years after the original Game Jam version of 4K. Notch had plenty of time to at least fill up the rest of the block IDs. And there's the bottom of the world. So what we'll do, we're going to fill this in. And I'll probably fill in the entire layer now that I've already started working on that. So we'll go here. How far can I reach? So if I'm way up here, wonder if it makes a difference. Oops. No, it does not. All right. So this is as far as we'll go, and then we'll keep it 4 blocks tall. Here we go. Here's a nice little, I don't know. I would say mine shaft, except this doesn't feel much like a mine shaft. It just feels like a cave in this world of chaos. But we're going to have a nice grass ground. I wonder if someone's ever bothered to take the time to get rid of an entire 4K world. Or fill up an entire 4K world just with grass. But now I kind of want to do the whole staircase as well. And the walls. No, the walls would not look good. Having the grass layered would not be fun to look at. I'll keep the floor for now. You don't know, we got time. Alright, well, time to clear up everything that's not grass. Even the dirt. Even though the dirt would eventually become grass. Oh wait, no, it won't. If this is in Classic, this is all within a shadow. Grass needs light to spread. Okay, you cannot left click and right click at the same time like you can in regular modern Minecraft. Oh, maybe you can. Hold on, I need like a testing area. Here, this is all grass, I've already redone it. Oh, it's the opposite. Okay, so if you do left click and right click at exactly the same time, it's possible to place the block and equally destroy the block behind it. I can't remember if this was a vanilla problem in the past, but if you play InfDef Plus, it's a problem on there, or at least it was when the last time I played. I don't know if that was ever fixed. But using modern functionality for creative is the preferred method. Anyway, point being, you have to make sure you right click first and then left click to place. Oh, we're almost there. Party potato. Speaking of potato, I feel like if you're in college, you might be getting close to college week though. Maybe I will raise this up one more. It just feels like it should go along with the edge. Oops. 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 All the wrong buttons. That's what happens when muscle memory kicks in. That's a block missing. And I think we're all good. This is where I save. Cool. Alright, let's make this top part look a little bit nicer. Is Method streaming right now, or are you saying you're talking about his current series? I should hop back on there more. Currently, I've only seen one of those episodes. I think he streams it every Saturday. Here we go. Alright, we're all good here. So, if I'm currently standing on one, we'll do right here. So we're gonna go, I don't know where the middle is. I could count if I want. Or I could just go all the way this way or so. In fact, if I do an estimation, I can kind of figure out whereabouts the middle of the world is. Otherwise, I could build the entire tunnel to begin with and go from there. So if the world is 64 by 64, I need to go about 30. So from this corner, I want to go about 30 blocks that way. So this is already 13, which means I'm halfway there. Alright, so this is where we're gonna make our cave. Oh, the out of you as well. We're gonna do about 8 by 8. We're gonna first carve up these 2 middle blocks, and then I'll add more variation from there. Because I need to be able to walk. I don't even know if I'm doing this on the correct axis. I don't have a way to check. So, for all I know, I'm 90 degrees off. And also not the same vertical height. I would have bought the auto clicker, but I don't know if it works on 4K. I only know it works on regular Java Minecraft. This is made in Java, but it's not the same. For all I know, in fact, chances are Notch uses different methods compared to what he did originally. Unless he just lets LWJGL handle all the inputs again. I think he did that the first time at least. This is very far. I didn't realize how far 60 blocks is when you have to go super slow. Oh wait, this is a high probability of flooding, which means it might end up flooding my tunnel. Too late. I could just block both sides, but I'm gonna do that at the end. Oh wait, I don't think I need to worry about flooding if sea level is only 1 block deep. This might be where the bedrock is in Classic, which means I don't have to worry about flooding. Which means I guess I only needed glass around the one or two blocks near the surface. And I think that's the end right there. This almost feels like the Pocket Edition world with the size, even though this is smaller than PE, as well as its the edges. Although this is not gray void, it's just black. Alright, so with all that taken care of, let's start getting rid of... I think how to do this. I'll get rid of one layer up, and then I'll start poking random holes around the edges. And then from there, it will also be one layer down. I want to do the ceiling first because it's easier to walk across the flat floor. Wouldn't be Cave Game without the cave. Even though by now it was already Minecraft. I wonder if it's faster if I just did one line at a time. No, maybe not. Alright, so now to make it feel like a cave, let me just place that back real fast. I should say, time to make it look kind of like how it was originally. This is not going into UMP. I have other plans for this world. Ultimate Minecraft Poly World has other stuff going on as well. I wonder if I should walk backward when I work on the floor. I also feel like I'm not adding enough density variation, but that would require going behind some of these blocks, and there's not really a fast way to do that. Well, one thing's for sure, though, that was much faster than trying to go all the way around for every single block. All right, how's that looking? I guess I'll give it a second pass. Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of some of the stuff that's up there, not just this initial layer. All right, with that all good, time to do the walls. I think once I get done with this second wall, I'll save the world again. Last save was 8 minutes ago. And boop. All right, time for the floor. So this is the beginning. Maybe I will give it 2 passes. All right, here we go. It says Mario, I think. The difficulty I'm gonna face, which I already can feel, is that this needs to be circular. The original cave was circular. This does not look circular. This is what happens when you try to make curves in a square game. It proves to be difficult. Plus, me being me, the way I like to calculate curves doesn't make it properly spherical. Alright, time for round 2. Kind of looking at this as I go along backward. This is not too terribly far off how the hole looks like in JavaScript. Howdy Potato, welcome back. Want to see every pixel in detail? The game only renders at 480p. The best I could do is remove the, or I should say, change the upscale filter. That way it doesn't look all smudgy. Okay, so this is kind of circular. I think I need a little more taken out from the middle for both the top part and the bottom. I don't know who currently would be able to decompile 4K, but one thing I've wanted is I want someone to make a mod that bumps up the render resolution. They'll probably have to do something with the camera in terms of if the camera rotation is dependent on where the cursor is based on physical pixel resolution. Yeah, that shouldn't be too difficult. You just have to calculate the new ratios and whatnot. Or you get it based on screen percentage. That way you don't have to deal with physical resolutions. That's the best way to do about it. But depends on how much you have to deal with notch code to begin with. But anyways, yeah, the game renders at 854 by 480. So that's 480p 16 by 9 non-anamorphic. Because DVDs 16 by 9 is 720 by 480. If you're using NTSC, I should say. And that has to be widened. So it's like a 1.33 pixel ratio instead of a 1:1 square pixel. Anyways, not important. But anyways, what's the render resolution of DS games? Because I don't remember. I guess it might be dependent on what DS model, and dependent on top screen versus bottom screen. Alright, this kind of looks like a tube. The only thing we're missing is water, except we don't have that. This is my round cave. Can you see it's a circle? It's not too far off from what we get in JavaScript. Although the edges are cleaner on here. And I don't know if I placed that, I think I did. If I see a block and it's not grass, I 100% know I did not place that. YouTube's compression with low resolution videos make low resolution videos look terrible. If you have a DVD and if you have a proper dedicated either DVD upscaler or your TV can upscale DVDs to 1080p, they don't look too bad. I'd say they would be comparable to proper 720p footage. I guess low quality 720p footage. There we go. One thing I wanted to do though, that I don't know if I ever will because that requires investing in new hardware, is see a PAL DVD compared to a NTSC DVD. I want to see if I can notice the difference between 480 and 576p. Alright, well, I got my JavaScript tube. I have one horizontal staircase, one vertical staircase. I have spawn, kinda. Let's make pixel art. That says I can make pixel art with exactly 2 colors. I could use pre-existing blocks, but that's not going to be beneficial. But yeah, when did I last save? Oops. And I don't time to save the world. There we go. So now I just have to keep figuring out what to do for the next 56 minutes. Alright, we'll start right here. I'm just going to open up this space and then we're going to fill it in with grass, since we can't fill it in with anything else. Round room sideways caves, so like a circular shaft. You know what I can almost do? I can almost do spleef on here. Except every block's going to be the same. Round room, if it's a round room, that's just a room. That's like a giant, it's like the inside of a sphere then. Trying to visualize what you mean. This one is block number 6. This almost looks like the area that I first built when I originally tried out 4K. I don't know how many years ago. Well, when I first got a working version of 4K, I thought that was rather neat. Played it for 15 or 20 minutes and said, well, I'm done. This is going to be the first time that I've spent any substantial time on 4K, and part of that is now it's worth playing. Hooray for me, who just so happened to check the discontinued features Discord server resources channel. I saw some stuff in 4K on there and thought, I could spend a couple hours looking into this. So for the base version of 4K, where every block is the same grayscale texture, that just uses block ID 1 for stone. So if you were to save the world on there, since there's a saving mod for both versions of 4K, I should say there's a saving for all three, but it's not a mod for JavaScript. Anyways, point being, if you were to save the world in the first version of 4K and load it up in here, everything would be stone. Howdy Mazav, welcome back. So yeah, it is like the initial pre-classic where everything was block ID dependent as well. I should say without block IDs. Block ID independent. There we go. Has anyone counted how many updates in total Minecraft has had? If you include snapshots. I wonder. Did y'all really get one of the 4K dirt textures from and use it in InfDev Plus? Because I didn't know that. I know there are multiple dirt variations on here. I'm going to assume you used the normal one. You did for mud? Maybe that's why that mud texture looked familiar. Or like something I've seen before. Or a modified version of something I've already seen. Pi Edition worlds should save in the old Pocket Edition format. Pi Edition is based on 0.6.1 and would therefore use the world format from then. Can't remember if there was any modifications in 0.8. I don't think so. Might just be until 0.9. Mudbutt manually changed coloring. I see, I see. Alright, well now we have a 6x6 grass room. You will go this way. Let's put a door here. Or in fact, how about we make this a tunnel? We're going to pop on the surface real fast, that way I know where the edges are before I start building another room. So that's the center of the world. There's the edge, I think. Yeah, so this year, we're not going to put a roof. I'm not feeling it. So I guess we'll just start going. If we go this way, I can go forward a little bit. In fact, here, I'll put another room, keep going, put another room, and then I'll turn that way. The only block I can place is grass. There is no block selection. So if you want any sort of design, you're going to have to use the pre-existing blocks that are here when the world is generated. So I think I'll go 2 around there. This is all grass now, but whenever this world gets converted classic, all this grass is going to go back to being dirt. In fact, there will also be a whole bunch of darkness. Should that be 3 blocks tall? I feel like that should be 2. I'll keep the tunnel as 2. It's very easy to make snap decisions on here. It's not a lot of choices when it comes to design. It's either air, grass, or whatever block spawned there. I am live because this is not a series. This is something fun because I figured let's just do it. And yes, howdy all of y'all, welcome back to the stream and stuff. I haven't worked on Pocket Edition Worlds in a while for how to convert to older versions. We'll make this, if this room was 6 by 6, how about we do this one 10 by 10? I wouldn't start a new poly world, but I have other worlds to deal with in terms of getting through. I need to keep going. Well, that's not true. I won't be starting another Java Edition poly world. I'll say that. I have more platforms to get through. I was supposed to keep going through the Android. I'll need to see how life is going when the new year starts. There's 8. So that makes this one 9. I should say it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Pathway. 1, 2, 3. 4. Hooray. Alright, now we have our floor. Kind of. We just need to keep going. We have one wall established. So let's clean up all this stuff up here. And we'll go from there. In fact, since it's been a little while, I'm going to save the world. Boop. Alright. I feel like I'm missing the Reddit moderator joke for why black screen. I am currently unsure where or how far or if I'm moving in January. There's a lot of uncertainty. And I'm going to need to go much farther forward. Now let's start filling this in, so that way I have a clear definition for where the border is. Oops. Muscle memory. I need to remember that the buttons are flipped. Still working on it. Alright, we're getting there. So there's 6 blocks, so I need to go 10. This is the 10th block right here. So this is where the wall is going to be. I'm hoping someone works on a converter for 624. I feel like I saw some sort of tool somewhere. It's sort of a we'll wait and see sort of thing. Or I should say ask around. I feel like the funniest number will always be 25. And if you disagree, you're living you're from the wrong generation. Don't even remember how long ago that episode aired. Someone called the Wii U the worst version? Ah, no, how dare they. 4K doesn't count because that was a Game Jam test. That's a spin-off. The 3DS version was an official ported version. Even PyEdition serves its purpose. Because what the goal of it was, implement Python scripting functionality. It successfully implemented Python scripting functionality. Even though by normal means it is locked to creative only, I believe. There's a way to play PyEdition in survival, and I can't remember how to do it. 25 will always be funnier because it's funnier than 24. There might be ways to convert Classic to the JavaScript remake version. That's the one you're talking about, right? The version they made for, I think it was the 10th anniversary, was when they did the 0.0.23 JavaScript remake. That was the 10th anniversary, right? There's probably converters out there. I know that we at least have different versions of that JavaScript release saved. I don't know if the world save format is different between them. I feel like I was seeing something somewhere about that. I'd have to look. There is a spreadsheet out floating around by Slim Jim. The Ultimate Timeline of Doom, I believe. And there are different guides on there for converting between platforms. One of them involved 4K, which is the reason how I figured out how to do this, even though the converter is fairly simple to figure out. But anyways, I can't remember if the JavaScript version was on there. I'm making multiple square boxes because I don't know what other shape to make. I was thinking of making a diamond for the next one. We'll see how that turns out. I could do diamonds. I can't do a circle. It will just look like a slightly curved square. Because I haven't memorized proper curvature patterns. I don't know why you find 56 funny. The only association I have with 56 is Soybean 56. I don't plan on making a remaster version of the tutorial guides, but I plan on adding more to it. I'm aware I'm destroying all the limited blocks. I'm only gonna play this world on 4K for today. I can't preserve every single block on here that is not grass, because I'm not going for that. I feel like there's a lot of people who found my world through the guides. I just sort of sit and wait, and eventually they ended up stockpiling on views. So I know at least a lot of people are looking up how to convert old Minecraft worlds. Alright, this next one, I don't need to go too far across, because I think, in fact, I did not see where I found. Okay, so that's the middle-ish of the world. So as long as I'm around here or so, I should be able to. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't keep up with the trends of what youngins these days are interested in. I am neither a youngin nor interested. So for bricks, you have the option to disable bricks and have it convert over to dirt. When you select the world in the converter, you can choose whether or not to keep bricks. That way you can load it up in older classic versions. Because otherwise you would have to load it in, I think it's 0.27. It's either 27 or 28 that added bricks. I think it was 28, not 27. Well, either way, yes, you can disable bricks. Alright, so I'm going to start here. And then this time we're going to do something a little different. So in fact, I'm trying to think how to mark this. Because if this is the farthest edge, let me get this indentation going first. I don't think there are any planks on here. I want to say that the bricks get converted to dirt because dirt was in 4K. There's also two different modes for converting the world. You can either convert it where it keeps the original 4K block IDs, or you can do a raw conversion where it uses all 16 block types. I should say the first 16 block types that are found in Classic. So this year we go. I guess I'll do one more, and then we'll start bringing it back in. Some people just want to preserve the block IDs. I don't think I've heard of Eaglecraft. Therefore, I will add no, I have not tried it. So 4K uses 10 different IDs for dirt, bricks, grass, logs, and leaves. The JavaScript edition also has water on there. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I'm missing? I guess air, but air is 0. I guess that means 0 plus 15 blocks. A JavaScript port of 1.8. Is there a purpose for that? For a web browser? Okay, that makes sense. It's kind of funny, people miss the browser experience for Minecraft, and so they have unofficial ways of playing Minecraft in the browser. I don't think the block IDs are the same. I'd have to look back at the list on the wiki, because that says which block IDs are for which block, and then I'd need to compare that to Classic. So this is the farthest middle, which means this is where we start going up. I should say we start going in. There is no future update. There were 2.5 versions of Minecraft 4K. You have the original 4K version, which did not have block placing and breaking, and every block looked the same because it was using a basic XOR generated method. And then the second version, which is what we're currently playing, is usable, and that's about it. Otherwise, there was a remake of this remake created in JavaScript, and that was basically a visual demonstration test, as that had even less functionality than the original JavaScript version, or the original Java version of 4K. But in that JavaScript version, there was a block that is assumed to be water. that was not present here in the original version. And let me find out if I lined these up correctly, because I don't think I did. Oh no, I did. Alright, cool. Good job, me of the past. From a couple minutes ago. But the past is the past, no matter how far back. Or something like that. There's probably supposed to be some sort of wise saying hidden in there. If anyone can decipher it, feel free to let me know. I think that right side isn't over far enough. I'm not sure. I think I can visualize the shape you're talking about with these cylinder rooms. I don't understand where the cylinder room is coming from, though. You're talking about the cylinder-shaped rooms that we find in caves within regular Minecraft? Because if so, those I have seen before. And that one's not right, because it's supposed to be here. There we go. Except this is dirt. One of the dirts. More dirt. There we go. Okay, with this taken care of, we're going to use diamonds to denote the curves where the shape of the room turns. So now we go this way. Alright, there you go. There's the list for 4K. And I feel that next would be pulling up the list for Classic. There is indeed, in the testing I've done, you do indeed end up with a bunch of random blocks. Because I tried converting the test world using both methods. And there is for sure a lot more stone, and I was seeing more bedrock as well. "8-Bit Craft? Nah, this is Minecraft 4K. I feel like something else is already called 8-Bit Craft. Oh, your bricks do become planks. There you go. At least they become planks in the regular converter. I don't think this counts as an octagon, unless you're talking about something else as an octagon. Alright, so we're gonna do just like the first one. We're gonna make this another 6x6 room. I'm gonna try to keep these all even numbers, because I don't want to end up with an old Minecraft village where you have a 3-block wide pathway going into a 4-block wide well. We're gonna avoid that on here. One thing I've noticed because of the liquids is that very quickly the world floods with water when converted normally. So something caused a block update, and you get all this water. That's a 3, 4. It is possible. There are indeed saplings. I feel like that would be an interesting challenge. Not something I would do on here. But yeah, converting the world over to probably survival test. Yeah, the brick planks would only get you so far. I don't remember if you were here earlier when I was talking about if someone's tried clearing out the entirety of a 4K world. But if this saving mod really has only popped up within the past, yeah, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks or so at the most, I don't think someone's taken the time to do that. Whoop. I feel like at some point the challenge would become, it will just end up being like regular Skyblock or other challenges that are limited with materials, such as one particular 5x5 challenge. Although on here, everything you have is given at the start, and it's up to you to how to make the world. All right. I don't plan on playing my beta 1.8 world on the stream. Is that just because of your extreme interest within beta 1.8? There we go. Now we have another room. Oops, just kidding. There we go. Now we have another. Nope, just kidding. There we go. Now we have a. Any other hidden blocks I'm not seeing? I think now we're good. 0.30 survival would make the most sense. That way you can keep the bricks. Because otherwise, the last survival test version that works was 0.27. Alright, let me save the world. Alright. I think we're going to keep going this way. I'll start by making another tunnel there. But before I go too far, here's what we're going to do. You could get any block from the few available blocks at that time. Oh, I see converted it how it is. Alright, there you go. Now we have a staircase. I feel like what I should do is start making pathways that connect these different places. That would likely be beneficial. Because otherwise, navigating this terrain is quite a mess. Alright, and... Alright, we'll go... I don't know how I want to separate this. Let's see, so this up here is the uppermost layer. I should say 1 block above generation. This is where sea level is. Decisions. Maybe I should work more on here. Well, I shall indeed at least start. Let's bring this up. Combining all of them would be beneficial, since together these are only 64 blocks cubed. So if you used InDev, that would allow you to have 128 for the length and width. Here we go. Oh, that's not a bad place to end up. There's not a lot to do in the JavaScript version since there's no gameplay. But the world generation is different compared to the original 4K generation. Alright, so if I have this here, you know, I can make a pathway that goes right down the middle of here. No, 4 unique if you included JavaScript. That makes sense. Alright, there we go. On hold until you figure out the end chests. I understand. Where did I have another staircase? I'm missing where I left the proper staircase. It's close to one of these corners, but I can't remember which one. Let's go exploring, shall we? Oh, here it is. So this is the tiny staircase. That means the proper staircase is off on this side. Coolio. So I just need to connect a pathway over here. So now that I remember which, now that I remember which direction is which. So that goes there. I guess next is to keep working on rooms that goes all the way to the side. Otherwise, uh-oh. Alright, so now let me just make sure that there's no staircase directly this way before I start laying it down. Yeah, this will be fine. This will just put me a couple blocks away from here. There's nothing at the bottom of the staircase. It just goes to the lowest point of the world. Cleaning up the world would be quite a challenge. Make it look like a proper world. Alright, can I Halo reach? Just barely. I feel like the easiest part to do would be to clean it out, and then trying to rebuild it is what would take the time. Oop. I have some holes down here I should fix. The Endermen, they touched my stuff. Endermen weren't even a concept at this stage. How to beat InDev? That is a video I have not heard of. And I haven't been on YouTube much to see it recommended. Here we go. How do you beat InDev? I guess that's also version dependent, because playing on end of, say, 130, it's going to be a different experience than playing on 223. Alright, time to save the world. Everything he wanted to. Okay, that makes sense. Kind of like how I'm trying to beat beta 1.8. I've got my super long list of stuff to do. It's kind of funny. I've been a little sidetracked on there and working on stuff that wasn't on the list, but that's okay. That's just going to mean the world is even more complete. Yeah, we're going to make this a super long tunnel or something like that. This will add variation. That way it doesn't feel like a mess of everything being the same. I worked on one big cave. Seeing as we have a little less than 20 minutes left, I might be able to work on more. There's a possibility that I'll do a little more work here on 4K after the stream is over. Not directly after, it's going to be lunchtime. But at some point before I convert it over. I'll also be able to get the world download up rather quickly. It's only 77.4 kilobytes. I don't know exactly everything that's saved within the world, but I know that for the most part, it just saves the 64 by 64 by 64 block array. And that's about it. Here we go. Not by the edge, right? Because I'm thinking of building the next room here. There we go. We'll make this one 12 by 12. Okay, we're a little close to that, but that's okay. We're closer to the edge, so I'm not going to worry. Is this it? Cool. You should be able to have 64 by 64 by 64 in Classic. Oh, in fact, you absolutely can, because I have indeed loaded up both types of converted worlds for here in Classic, and it loads up fine. This version, the vanilla version, is in Betacraft, but the world will not save. I had to download the saving mod separately to get it to save the world. All right, 1, 2, 3. I think that's as far as I go. Yep, so this is the edge. One thing, if you do convert these worlds over from Classic to InDev, is that you'll have to deal with the one block around all the outer edge being forcefully set by InDev upon world load. Which means if you wanted to preserve every single block, you would have to force the InDev world to be 2 blocks larger on all 3 axes in order to not delete those. Minecraft refused to launch the regular vanilla launcher. I was really sad recently. This is kind of related to the vanilla launcher, but not entirely. I was a little sad recently when I found that Minecraft Windows 10 was unpinned from my start menu. The reason why that made me sad is because when I try to put it back, it's not this nice graphic anymore. It's not this nice big rotating square that showed, I can't even remember what artwork, But now it's just this tiny little 8-bit grass block that they've been using, and it's not cool. I want my big ol' animated live tile back. Now I have this medium-sized static tile. It's so plain. They really expect every single person to launch Minecraft through the new launcher. When I say new launcher, I'm talking about the 2024 Windows dedicated launcher where you can launch every version of Minecraft on here. Because otherwise, the old version of the launcher from a couple years before then only supported Java versions. But that version of the launcher was available on all three platforms, Windows, Mac, and Linux, whereas the dedicated Windows launcher is only for Windows. But anyways, moving on back to the vanilla launcher. I've not had any major difficulties with the vanilla launcher before. One thing though is sometimes it can be rather slow to update its Java versions. If you play a version anything after, I think 1.16, was it 1.16 that first changed the Java version to Java 17? It was either 1.16 or 1.17. I can't remember. Oh wait, I built this wall incorrectly. Oops. Well, either way, whenever they dropped support for Java 8, any version after that can be rather slow updating the Java version. If you play older Minecraft, the vanilla launcher chooses whatever version of Java 8 they had licensed, which I think was U51. Either way, that's very outdated by now, because I think now we're on U300 and something. Howdy, howdy. GFX from a year ago following me. I can't remember any username with the name GFX. Alright, so if it's 5, then tunnel. Cool, I did do this right this time, I think. Let me just verify. Hooray! I'm at 12. So once I get this wall finished, we'll be about halfway there. I should say halfway there with this one room. And based on the current time, I might have enough time for one more. Another smaller one. We're almost there, can't reach the top layer just yet, but we'll keep going for now. Do you know how many people hop on my streams? I have several folks who are here often that I remember. If you're not here often, I probably don't remember you. If you change your name, I'm probably not going to remember you. But if you bring up something that we talk about or talked about before, I might remember it. Chances are, though, I should say there is a low chance for that, because there's a lot of stuff we talk about on this streams. Alright, now I gotta go 12, so we're looking at 1. Oops. 8, 9, 10. So this is the 10th block right here, which means I'll need to go 2 more. We are almost there. Oops. Just a little more of clicking the wrong buttons, hopefully. But yeah, if someone made the saving mod for here, then that means they have access to, or they have functioning source code version of this. What that entails is, I wonder if I can put in a few requests. First would be flipping the left and right mouse buttons, because I'd like those to be how we ended up afterward. Second would be a higher render resolution. How many people use 480p screens these days? Some people like CRTs. I'm not one of those people. The vast majority of people are probably not using a CRT either. I don't know how many high-res CRTs there are. I feel like at some point there's a maximum vertical limit, but that's not for me to say. This right here is 12. Anyways, point being, if we can at least get even 720, or I should say 1280 by 720, that would be appreciated. Assuming we can't get a scalable render resolution to whatever the window size is. The Paul Guard account got blocked? What happened? As long as that's still subscribed, then at least it'll continue to pop up in my subscribers list. I just feel like for CRTs, if you're trying to go above something that's around 768, I don't know, I kind of pulled that number just from what's common. If you go around 768 vertical resolution, vertical scan lines, I feel like it's gonna be, it would need to be very powerful and likely very loud to move what needs to be moved at such high speeds. What I live? Why do you live? I know that's supposed to say live, but why do you live? Just sounds weird. But anyways, I make videos and streams on the content that I want to make. People watching is the benefit. Okay, so yeah, we do have 5 minutes. I'm gonna save the world. Boop. Alright, time to head back. I should say time to head forward. I will see you later. Because I remember someone asking me a similar question. If that was a year ago, then I kind of remember that conversation. I don't think my answer has changed much since then. Because someone has asked me before, why do I stream when nobody watches? And it's still, this is the content I want to make. What did I say earlier about not keeping up with the cool kid trends? Or however I worded it. Still have the account, but can't access it. Is it on a time limit and after a certain amount of months or whatever? Or like, I guess this does go back, what happened to cause it to be locked and or blocked? I can make a tiny room. You know what, here, this one will be a 4x4. And then we'll go from there. I was building a staircase in the other thing. I've built a lot of staircases, I can't remember. I've built 2 staircases just this stream. Okay, well anyways, if you don't feel like watching, see you later. Subscribing is always appreciated. because otherwise I'm not sure how else you would have found today's stream. There wasn't any announcement. I updated the calendar that the stream was on here about 5 minutes before I started streaming. So even perchance that someone checked the stream 10 minutes before I started streaming, they wouldn't have seen it. It was inappropriate for children? What sort of content did you have on your channel? Oh, I did this wrong. This is a 4x3. Oops. Speaking of old screens, this is the old aspect ratio. 1.3 bar. We don't use that much anymore. There's some content out there that's still made using the 4x3 aspect ratio for aesthetics. Some content had bad words. Interesting. Didn't you have your stuff marked as, because I think there's two different settings that YouTube has. There's one where it says content made for kids versus not made for kids. And then there's another setting which is mature audiences only. Were those not properly set? We're at 2 minutes. I was going to keep going forward, but then I realized that's the end of the world right there. So we're not going to keep going forward. We're going to go this way. Oh, wait, but if I said if it curves it's going to need to be a diamond. Oops. Oh, well, I guess we'll go back this way. Or I could just keep the one diamond room and keep it special, since I guess this one is going to be a little more unique. It's not the middle. Yes, it is. You have no idea. When YouTube makes changes, it's always good to review such changes when it comes to taking action. Every once in a while, if you check on YouTube Studio, there's a banner at the top that says take action with whatever change they rolled out. There are no diamonds in this version. There are no emeralds either, because emeralds came first. So says Notch code. And it was only emeralds for, what was it, one version, right? Notch renamed emeralds to diamonds in the next version. Howdy, Jonas. Welcome back to the last minute of today. Okay, maybe a little more than a minute. I'm still doing stuff. I want to finish this room, and then we can end off the stream. Truth be told, though, I guess now it is feasible to have long-term 4K worlds if someone were to ever do so. Was an interesting thingy. So I don't know how long it'll take for me to upload the world. It's going to be small, so it'll be fast upload. But like I said earlier, I'm hungry, so I'm going to have lunch first. So if you're watching this at any point after a few hours after the stream ends, I should have 3 different versions of the world available. I'll have the original 4K copy that you could just load up using the saving mod, which I should probably try to figure out how to link. It's currently on Discord, and Discord doesn't allow, I should say Discord links have a 24-hour expiration when it comes to file downloads externally. So we'll see. I could probably re-upload if I could find the source. Or just slap it within the ultimate old world conversion guide and just say, hey, it's fair use because people need it. Alright, there we go. There's a 4x4 room, right? Yep. Alright, so either way, it'll be the original 4K version of the world, and then converted for classic directly, and then converted to classic keeping the block types. that are here in 4K. But otherwise, that's all it for today. I don't know if there'll be any more 4K content in the future, but probably not. So yeah, say your final thoughts. Don't know when I'm streaming next, so we'll see. I have plans to do another random stream, so hopefully within the next couple weeks, you might just see another random game. But that's indeed all it for today. Thank you all for watching. Bye.